everyone, excuse me, and welcome back to my channel and to my kitchen, because this is where we play. So today we're going to talk about brows. I was going to do a foundation routine to go along with my series that I'm doing, but my brows are pretty bad, so we're going to have some fun and get a little silly looking, but this is how I do my brows, so if you want to know how I do mine, then just stay tuned. So I'm going to go through how I groom them. That's why I decided to do this video today, because they're a little out of control once I bring you in a little closer. And then I'll show you how I fill them in daily, and if I'm going somewhere and if I need them to last really long, all 3 stages, because, well, those things are nice to know sometimes. So what we're going to need for today, which I don't normally do, but it's kind of important. So what we're going to need first is a alcohol swab or something along those lines. Sometimes I use hairspray if I don't have an alcohol swab, but essentially this is just we're just going to run it over our eyebrows so that if we have any moisturizer on or anything like that, or like you just got oily through the day or something like that, running one of these over your brows makes it a lot easier to grab your hairs because they're a little bit drier. And then we're going to need, of course, a pair of tweezers. I use a pair of scissors, and that might scare you, but don't let it, because I'll obviously show you why. I have a couple of different spoolies, and I'll explain to you why I have a couple of different spoolies. I have a couple of different angled brushes. There's reasons behind that as well. I have a dark brown eyeliner. I would suggest, depending on how dark your hair is, just a few shades darker than what your brow pencil would be. Your brow pencil should be 2 shades darker than your hair, unless you have really, really dark hair, black hair, brown hair, then go a few, 2 or 3 shades lighter. For your regular brow pencil, so this pencil, the extra one, should be like 2 or 3 shades darker than the one that you would wear every day. And then I have then I have just a highlighting pencil. I have my Everyday Brow Wiz. I have a brow powder. This is a Milani brow powder. And there's a highlight color, my goodness, right here. And then a light color and a dark color. And I also have a brow gel. This is Benefit's Gimme Brow. And then, of course, a pencil sharpener so that my pencils are nice and sharp. And a just a deluxe crease brush. This is from Real Techniques. Any sort of blending brush that's a little bit more dense will be good for this. So firstly, I will explain why I have so many variations of things. So I have 2 different spoolies because one is a little bit bigger. I don't know if I can get you to see it, but one's a little bit bigger than the other one. The actual size of the spoolie is just a touch bigger. There we go. And this one is a little bit, this one's a little bit softer, and this one is a little bit more coarse. So depending on how coarse your brow hairs are, you pick one to your liking. My brow hairs generally aren't that coarse, but once I get the rubbing alcohol swab over them, the coarse one just helps pick up a little bit better. And after you're done with your brows, after you're done applying product to your brows, then these will also help blend out. So if you've gone too dark, use a coarser spoolie to help blend them out. If you just need to help blend out, a softer spoolie is okay. So that's those. Don't ask what's going on with my head today. I just had a shower and piled it up on my head. Then I have my 3 angled brushes. So same idea, I only use one of them on a regular basis, and that's usually this one. I just got it from like a drugstore. It says Blue on it, that's the brand. I've never really heard of it before. I have a couple of their brushes, and I think you can only get them at Rexall, but I really like it. So this one is short and it's dense, but it's soft. It's not a coarse brush, so I really like this one. I also really like this one. This is also, this one is soft and it's not as dense. So I like this one. And then this one is short, dense, and coarse. So same idea with these things. Depending on how much product you want to apply, you pick your density and your coarseness. The darker you want the color to be, the more dense and more coarse your brush should be. The lighter you want your color to be, of course, softer. So those are my brow wiz that I have. This is Anastasia Beverly Hill Brow Wiz in the color taupe because I constantly change the color of my hair and my brows are relatively light. So I don't ever want to have my brows too dark for my complexion or for my hair, nor do I want it too light. So for me, taupe works out really well. An Anastasia Brow Wiz in Canada runs you about $27. I know it's a little bit on the pricier side. Normally I was using a Maybelline one that was doing the trick just fine. Anastasia has a billion different colors that you can choose from. They have this spoolie on the end, which is a little bit more coarse. And it is a mechanical retractable pencil. I fought with myself for a while about buying this because it was $27 and I just had a hard time justifying spending $27 on a brow wiz. But I bought it because I got a gift card for Sephora for Christmas and I swear by this thing now. So if you feel like splurging, this is a good buy. Do it. That is all. The Milani Brow Fix kit that I have, I think this ran me about $4. And I used this for a long time without a pencil. It does the trick just fine. If you don't like the idea of drawing with a pencil, powders are a little bit more soft, obviously, than a pencil is. And then the Benefit Gimme Brow that I have, this one is in the color light medium. And I only wear this if A, I don't feel like doing my brows because I don't have any other makeup on. And I, want to just do something to clean them up a little bit. Or if I need my brows to last me a long time because I'm going to some sort of event or party or something like that where I need to, my brows need to stick in place for a while. I use my Benefit Gimme Brow. If you don't want to splurge or you don't feel like it buying one of something like that, a clear mascara works really well, and so does a plain old spoolie with some hairspray. That'll keep your brows in place forever. I generally don't like to always use tinted brow gels, so if I don't feel like using one of these, then I just use some hairspray on a spoolie, and that's good enough for me. So now we're going to jump in and get a little crazy. So the reason why I get a really dark eyeliner pencil is because I draw my eyebrows on, like I outline my brows with a really dark pencil and they look a little crazy, but then I just have to pluck whatever is outside of the line. So I make my brows whatever shape I want and then I pluck whatever is outside of them. So the first thing that I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open up my cotton swab. Oh goodness, I just saw this on the other side of my mirror. You're also going to want some makeup remover and some cotton swabs or whatever, maybe baby wipes, whatever you use in order to take your makeup off, because once we draw our brows on in an insanely dark color, you're going to want to take that off. So I just used some of this. I just opened up my alcohol swab and it is dry. So pardon me for just a moment. Sorry about that. Alcohol swabs, you can buy a box of them at like the dollar store of 150 of them for $1. So I have my alcohol swab open and it's actually got some product on it. So I'm just going to run this quickly over my brows. I have a mirror in front of me and I have a double-sided mirror. It has a magnifying side on one and not magnifying on the other. So right now I'm using the magnifying one so I can really get in and see what's going on. I'm just going to run this everywhere that I have needing to pluck. Yeah. Now I'm going to bring you in a little closer. We can get nice and personal about our brows. So now I'm going to take my coarser spoolie. I'm just going to run it through my brows. So what I'm doing is the front part of my brow, I am brushing it in the direction that the brow hairs lay. And then the tail of my brow, I kind of brush up a little bit so I can really get in there. Sometimes if I'm really trying to get in, or, you know, for some reason, you know, my brows just don't want to cooperate, I'll actually bend my spoolie so it's in an L. And sometimes it just helps you comb out your brows a little better. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little crazy looking. I'm going to take this brow pencil and I'm going to shape my brows how I want them to be. Right from the inner corner to the outer corner. So essentially how you should line up your brows is lay your pencil from the outside of your nostril up to the corner of your eye, and this is where the inside should be. And then, it's gonna look really good. And then from the corner of your nostril through the middle of your pupil on an angle, right there. So this is where your arch should be. And then again, from your nostril to the outside corner of your eye, this is where your brow should stop. You see that little dot right there that I made? And I made a little dot right here, and I made a little line right here. So now I'm going to just lightly, even though it doesn't really matter how light it is, this pencil is so dark. So I'm just going to lightly draw the shape that I want my eyebrows to be. And as you can see that I'm doing it, I'm tilting my head back and forth as I go so that I have the right amount of light on my mirror and on my face so that I can see what shape my brow is going to be as I'm doing it. Sorry, I'm just moving my mirror. And when you're doing your brows, you should be facing dead onto a mirror. Don't look down into one and don't look up into one, because then your brow's not going to be straight. If you mess up a touch like I did right here, I went in a little bit too square right here. So I'm just going to take a cotton swab and a little bit of makeup remover. I'm just going to dab it into the makeup remover, just a tap, and then tap it on the back of my hand. And then with my very tip of my finger, I'm just going to go in and clean up that line a little bit so it doesn't look all boxy and weird. And I'll take that alcohol swab once again. And, oh, here it is up here. Take that alcohol swab once again and just clean up the makeup remover that is now greasy on my face. Now I've made one shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I know it looks really good, so I'm just going to take my tweezers and I'm going to pluck out everything that is underneath this line. Keep your Kleenex handy because you're going to need to take off all the hairs that you're plucking. Okay, so there's one brow. I'm going to keep that brow on, and I'm going to do the other brow. So again, same thing, spoolie through your brow, and then take your dark pencil and shape it. So the nice thing about drawing on the outline first and making yourself look like a crazy cartoon character is so that you can double check that your brows are going to match. They're going to be the same shape. They're going to match. Now, one thing that is so important to keep in mind, and I'm like flailing outside of the frame that you can't see, I'm like the crazy inflatable flailing arm man, is that your eyebrows are sisters. They're cousins. They're not twins. They should be relatively the same shape, but they don't need to look like you stuck stencils on your face. It's the easiest way I can put it, and it sounded a little harsh. And I look really ridiculous while I'm getting crazy like that, making funny faces, and one eyebrow is really dominant. But yeah, they just need to look related. They don't actually need to be stenciled on. So again, same thing. I'm going to measure out my eyebrows. So from the corner of my nose, straight up, out, and down. Okay. Now that I look ridiculous, even more so than before. So just like anything else in life, one side of your person is usually more cooperative than the other side. So one of your brows is going to be naturally a maybe better shape or naturally thicker or something like that. And one is going to probably drive you insane. So make sure that you keep in mind that they don't have to be identical. That's why we're sort of drawing them on a little bit first so that they can be as similar as possible. But yeah, I usually do this one first because this one is the nicer shape. As you can see, it took me 2 seconds to fix that one and a really long time to fix this one. For some reason, my hair grows faster on this side of, not even my person, just this eyebrow wants to grow faster than this one. And I do this to my face probably about once a month. I apologize, my camera was telling me that it was going to stop recording, and I didn't want that to happen without me noticing. So, yeah. So normally I do this eyebrow first, just because it just happens faster than this one, and I do this to my face about once a month. Other than that, between, I just clean up as I see the hairs growing in, but then, I'll sit down and I'll actually do this with all of these products, like about once a month. So now that I have this shape, and I think that this shape is, good, I don't want to keep this on anymore. So I'm just going to put some eye makeup remover on the back of my hand, and I'm going to take my cotton pad, dab it all around, and then I'm going to wipe off my brows. So I just use the alcohol swab again because I had some eye makeup remover now on my brows, and I just want to take the rest of it off. So now I'm just going to take my softer spoolie and just comb through my brows, make sure that they are indeed the same shape and that I didn't miss any hairs. Yes, so I am happy with the way that my brows look now. So sometimes, I don't have to today, but sometimes I'll use my little scissors. I think these came from like a head shaving kit or an electric razor kit. So they're curved on the blade inwards. They're not curved from side to side. They're curved inwards so that you can lay the outside of the curve on your skin and trim. So sometimes that'll happen if, say for instance, I do this to my brows and I notice that these tail hairs are getting really long and it's messing up the shape of my brow. Instead of going pluck happy, I'll just take the outside of my scissors, and with this side up, I just do this down the edge of my brow, just so that they taper nicely and the outside hairs that I have don't overtake my eyebrow shape. I just worked really hard and I looked really silly to make this shape, so sometimes I just need to trim them up. So then what I do pretty well every day is just take my brow wiz, roll it up just a little bit, and then with my spoolie I go through and I just fill them in the exact same way as I did when I pluck them. Only this time I don't look crazy. And it seems as though since I started plucking my brows that way, filling them in has become a million times easier because I'm just filling in the shape that I already created. So the only difference is, so I don't draw on this part right here. I'm not actually touching myself. I don't fill in this part right here. I start doing feathery light strokes and hold my pencil way down at the bottom from right about here. So I draw on, or outline rather, the underside of my brow. And then I outline the top of my brow, starting from the very tip here, with very, very light feathery strokes. And I draw, not above my brow, right on the line. I trace the outline of my brow. Because that's the way I created the line when I drew them on funny to pluck them. And then when I fill them in, I start filling them in right from about here backwards towards the tail. And I fill the tail in a little heavier than I fill in the front of my brow. And then I take the spoolie and I just spoolie through it. It blends out the color and it looks like I filled it in right from the tip without, right from the inside corner, without looking really choppy and blocky and bold and crazy. So now I'm just gonna whip through the other one. I have two eyebrows on. Now this one, I do start a little heavier in the front because I have like a little bit of a light spot there. I don't want to quite call it a bald spot yet, but it's a light spot. And then I just brush through it until I'm happy. Now I generally don't have to use another spoolie, one of these two, because the spoolie on the end of the Anastasia one is just a nice enough texture for me and my hair and my brows. And then what I would do if I wanted them just to be a little bit more cleaned up because, say, I was going out for the night, I would then take my fluffy or lighter brush, angle brush, that looks ratchet, and I take, because my hair is a little bit darker right now, I'll take the darker color. Now this brow correcting kit is in the color light, number 01 light. When I have darker hair, I use a darker one. When I have lighter hair, I use a lighter one, and it works out just nicely for me. So what I do with this is I only do the tail. Your brows naturally are lighter in the front and darker on the tail, so when you fill them in, you should go the same way. So I start right about from the middle, just like I do when I fill them in with the pencil, and then I just lightly drag it out to the end. And as you can see, you can barely see my hand in the frame because I'm holding it so far down the handle of the brush that it's the lightest application that there possibly could be. But if you go slow enough, I've been doing my brows for a really long time, so I can do them a little bit faster, but if you go slow enough, you'll get just as precise even though you're holding way down here. And then I'll take my softer spoolie and I'll just run through where I did the pencil. And the pattern is kind of always the same. You sort of trace out the bottom, sort of trace at the top, and then fill in the middle. And then always blend them out so that you don't look like a cartoon character. Or like we did when we shaped them. And then if I'm feeling really creative, which I don't feel like it today, no I do, then I'll throw on some of my tinted brow gel. So this tinted brow gel, I really like when I don't have a lot of makeup on, or if it's in the summertime and I just have a tinted moisturizer on, so I want to clean up my brows a little bit. This is really nice. As you can see, look how teeny, teeny, teeny the wand is. And then, same thing, just this I go right from the inner corner and just really, really lightly, the same way that my brows are going, just place them. You don't need to dip back into it. Enough product comes out on the wand. and just run really lightly through. And then I take a regular spoolie and I just brush through them one last little time, because just like a mascara wand, sometimes the wand gets a little clumpy and I don't want clumps in my brows. Alright, so there you have it. There's some brows. The last thing that I do if I'm, like I said, if I'm going to a wedding, or if I'm going when I went to prom, if I'm going to an event and I'm going to be out all night, after I set my brows, I will take either some concealer or a highlighting pencil, and I'll just draw around. I didn't actually touch my brow at all. I just went sort of around it, and then take my dense brush and blend out that, and it sort of cleans up the line a little bit and gives you a base for a highlighter. And if you want to, which I do sometimes, is use the highlighter from the brow kit that I have, just because it's one less product that I have to take with me if I'm going somewhere. And there you have it. I have two brows now, no longer a unibrow, and I think that they look pretty good. So if you like this tutorial and you like the way that I do my brows, then let me know. I don't like being this close, so hold on a minute here. Yeah, if you like this tutorial and you like the way that I do my brows, then let me know in the comments below, or on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. I check out those things all the time. And stay tuned for my next week's video. It'll be a continuation of this series, and it'll be full foundation. Yeah! See you guys next week. Love you. Bye.